Welcome to the Gut Girl Podcast.
Well, hello. Hi. Hello, Sarah. Oh, I'm so excited. So before I dive in and ask you 1,000,001 questions, let me formally introduce you to listeners. So if you haven't heard, Sarah Gray is dual qualified in pharmacy and nutrition. So this episode is very exciting for me personally because I know nothing about the relationship between gut health and hormonal health. And this is what you've just written a book about.
Yes.
All about this connection. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's super excited. I love all things hormone health, but the gut part of it is really interesting. And I spent a lot of time looking into it for the book, but also always have thought about that with my clients as well. So keen to share some information that might help some people understand that gut hormone connection.
Yeah. Because I mean, I knew nothing of it until probably like a year or so ago when a mate of mine, a very close friend, she had horrific period pain and endo most of her life since I've known her since high school.
Yeah.
And then ended up going on all these kind of what seemed at the time like crazy kind of gut protocols and crazy gut things she was doing. And now lives with very little pain in her period and that sort of thing. And she talks about how it's changed her life. And that was my first clue going, what? Like, do you mean what gut health's got something to do with hormones? Or I had no idea.
The gut is amazing. Right? You obviously know because
I'm learning, but I don't know at all.
It's amazing because we think of a gut health, we just think of digestion, of whether we're regular or not. But we don't realize that our gut is so powerful, like the second brain, the connection between the gut and the brain, the gut and your immune system, the gut and your hormone health. And when you dig into that and realize how important it is, you realize how integral it is that you look after your gut health because actually it does so much else for you. And I think it kind of makes sense, right? Because the gut-brain connection makes sense to me when I think about it. Like if you're nervous before a presentation or a podcast or if you're anxious, you do feel it in your gut. And we've always said you've got that gut feeling when something's right or wrong. So we've always known there's a connection, but now we're really understanding the science and are able to tweak foods or protocols for people to optimize gut health and improve other aspects of health at the same time.
Geez. I mean, well, can I ask, because you're qualified in pharmacy and nutrition, where did your journey begin? Was it in pharmacy? Was it in nutrition? Or can you take me back a bit to how you ended up here with the knowledge you've got now?
I can, and there's actually a gut health part in there, so I'll definitely bring that in. So I'm a pharmacist first. I always feel like I will always be a pharmacist at heart. It's what I did. It was my passion to find out. I remember in high school, I wanted to know how paracetamol worked, and I've always been keen on science, a bit of a chemistry nerd, so that was my number one. Did that, worked in pharmacy, then went and lived in London for a bit. And while I was there, I experienced really terrible gut symptoms, like to the point where I remember there was a time in my life where I couldn't even drink water without it actually upsetting my stomach. It was pretty terrible. So got back to Australia, saw a bunch of different dietitians, nutritionists, got some help and advice and started to feel better, but was really curious about what was going on. And I got frustrated as a clinician myself that I couldn't work out how to fix it myself.
Absolutely. You're like, I've studied pharmacy, why can't I?
Yeah, why can't I fix it?
Yeah.
So that's why I studied to become a nutritionist. So I did my Masters of Human Nutrition at Deakin University, and I did that purely more to understand what was going on in my life. And then I thought, well, as a pharmacist, I should be able to help other people who come into the pharmacy, and I had a lot of education type roles. I felt like there was a gap. So I actually thought I'd hang up the pharmacist hat and then put on the nutritionist hat. But weirdly they've worked really well together, like thinking about the way supplements work. And then I think of it from a pharmacist perspective, how they interact with your medications, how your body's processing them, gut health. I'm thinking about all the aspects. So the two together actually work quite wonderfully. And I'm really lucky in the work I do each day. I can combine those two expertise elements and really bring health to people.
Yeah, that's really cool, isn't it? Like thinking about you working from two medicinal perspectives, like what you'd think of a traditional medicine pharmacy, and then also the medicinal powers, I suppose, of food or the magic that nutrition brings.
Absolutely. And you think like you might have had a patient with bariatric surgery or someone that's doing intermittent fasting, or somebody who has celiac disease, there are different ways the medicines absorb and work on those different situations. So
Oh,
understanding them both, and these GLP-1 drugs, the Ozempics and things,
right. Yes.
I have that really deep understanding of both sides of that, which I think is a unique lens, and it thinks about the whole person versus just one aspect of their health and care.
Okay, so this is the perspective informing your book.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's all about, the title is It's Not You, It's Perimenopause, which I
Yes.
love because obviously, and even for me, I couldn't tell you, I don't know what perimenopause, I don't know about menopause, I don't know about, let alone the gut connection to it. So there's so many people, I imagine,
Yeah.
if I'm a subset of the population that just don't have a clue about the fact that perimenopause goes on and what impacts it and where nutrition fits in.
I feel like I'm in a bubble in that I just think everybody knows
Yeah.
what perimenopause is. But
Yeah.
I think that's because there's lots of information, and obviously I'm getting targeted that because that's the information I'm sharing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still a lack of knowledge as to what it is, and then also a confusion about how you know whether or not you're in it, and then if you are in it, what do you actually then do? So I try and the book was born out of that, really. I was seeing lots of women in my online clinic. You can only help, as you would know, as so many women or people on a one-on-one basis.
Right.
So I put together this, building all the tactics I've developed over time and in plain English, so you can understand what's going on. You don't need to be a scientist to understand it.
Right.
And you can actually create your own plan, so you can finish the book and then you know where you should sort of go from there. So that's kind of why I sort of developed it. Yeah.
I mean, and I suppose just diving into it now, again, I want to get to the understanding the gut hormone connection, but I think we couldn't probably start there. There's probably a few steps ahead we've got to kind of unpack to
absolutely.
be able to make sense of it.
Yeah.
Would it be good to start with perhaps what perimenopause is? Would that be a helpful
We can do
place?
that, and we'll just do the kind of the crash course, so we won't spend ages on that because we could go on for hours and hours.
Right.
But essentially, as women, we're born with a certain number of eggs in our body, which I think is fascinating. From the time you're in your mother's womb, the amount of eggs you're going to have is determined.
Wow.
And then, I am generalizing here, talking about most women. I understand there's some that may have different conditions that may not send them on the normal sort of a path of menstruating monthly. So I just will be general in this part.
Right.
But usually, most women will ovulate once a month. The ovary will release an egg. So one of those eggs is being used each month.
Wow. Okay.
And then you have your regular menstruation and you go through your cycle. And there's hormonal changes that are happening there that are consistent, fairly consistent for most women across life. Then as you get towards your older years, or not older, I think I feel like I'm old sometimes, but I think I'm still fairly young in my early 40s. But as you get towards your late 30s, early 40s, you're starting to run out of eggs. So each month, your body's saying, I want to release an egg, and there's all different hormonal messengers related with that.
Oh, I
and
see.
your brain's thinking, well, I want to release an egg, but the ovary's not doing it for me because there's none left, or I'm running out and I've got an inconsistent supply.
So the body's kind of confused.
Yeah, it's confused, and it's being coined the zone of chaos by some influencers online, but that's because the brain and the body are just confused, and then we get a raft of changes in hormonal levels in the body. So estrogen will fluctuate from up high to low at any one point in time and gradually decline over time. And then progesterone, which is our calming hormone, will then decline too.
Can I butt in here
of course, anytime.
and ask you,
absolutely.
Could you help me understand estrogen and progesterone?
Of course.
Yeah.
So there's lots of key hormones. The three I usually focus on, just to keep it simplistic, is to start with, are estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone.
Okay.
So estrogen and progesterone are the two key female hormones. So estrogen receptors are throughout our entire body. It does so many things for us as women. It protects our heart health. It helps keep our brain healthy. It helps regulate our cycles. So we need it everywhere. And then progesterone is what I call the kind of calming hormone. It's that one that kind of calms down and it regulates things a little bit too. So that's being quite broad, but essentially that's those two. And then there's testosterone, which we know is the male hormone, but we do actually need that as women for bone strength, for libido, for a range of things. So we still need testosterone, and that will decline too throughout this period. So the trend is they're all kind of declining. But
all three are
they
declining
are
at that
100%.
perimenopause age.
They are, but the estrogen is going up and down erratically. There's a graph in the book that sort of shows that, and you can see that online too. And that erraticness of the estrogen is also contributing to many of the symptoms. So just to fast forward a little bit,
Yep.
menopause gets all the, the limelight, but it's actually just one day in a woman's life. It's the day after you haven't had a period for 12 months in a row. That's the actual
That's
date.
when you're in menopause.
Yeah. So the line in the sand.
Mhm.
Average age of that in Australia, about 51.
Okay.
So the 4 to 8 years roughly leading up to that is where this perimenopause stuff happens. So the symptoms are mainly in that period of time.
Mhm.
Then you hit menopause, and then, after that, it can be referred to as postmenopause after that line in the sand, if we just break that down.
Mhm.
And some women will still have symptoms, but many have symptoms that are much less or subside after you hit that point in time.
All right.
Yes, that's a very quick summary of what
It's
it all
very helpful,
actually
actually.
is.
You're
Yeah.
making complicated
Yeah.
things as simple as they can be, which
Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate because it's a minefield.
Yeah.
So would you say on the whole, the kind of most turbulent period or the, that's the
Yeah, it is.
perimenopause?
Yeah, and that's why I was realizing or experiencing that women coming to see me at my online clinic were having a variety of symptoms in that late 30s, early 40s sort of time frame.
Mm.
And that's why I actually went on and studied to become a certified menopause practitioner, because I see all these things, these cluster of symptoms, and I wanted to learn more about that.
Yep.
And these are things like midline weight gain, changes to mood, very low mood, worsening kind of PMS type symptoms. There's so many: vertigo, dizziness, itchy skin,
brutal.
joint pain.
Yeah.
I will say though, I'm a real, although they all sound quite nasty, those symptoms, I'm
Yes.
a real positive, I have a positive approach to this phase of life. It's a transition that we go through as women. And yes, roughly a third of women will have symptoms that are very disruptive. Another third, they'll be kind of mild to moderate, and sort of the rest, I've really simplified those numbers, but the rest might have no symptoms at all. So you're not definitely going to have all of those things. Each person's really individual in how they experience this.
And I'm gathering that, the way that you're looking after your gut health is quite a big game changer in how much
Absolutely.
you go through in perimenopause. Is that right? In terms of
Yeah.
pain and suffering.
Yeah,
Is
so many interesting things with gut health, but the main thing is, and I'm certain you've spoken about the gut microbiome
Yes,
and the
yes.
gut
Obsessed.
the microorganisms in the gut. So we know that that's a complex thing that we're learning lots about. Well, the research is showing that all of these changes I spoke about, primarily the hormonal changes, are actually changing the makeup of that microbiome.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, which is huge. And the research is emerging, but of what we've got, it's pretty solid to show us that there's definitely changes. So, not sure if you've heard, but they call it the estrobolome. So, during this phase of life, we're having that estrogen changes are
the ups and
primarily
downs in the perimenopause. Okay.
significantly changing the way our gut functions, and it's changing the gut microbiome. So, we're coining it the estrobolome. And it's causing things like sluggish digestion, changes to the ways that things are absorbed in our gastric system.
Oh, no, that's a real battle then.
100%. So you might find that as you edge towards this phase, you are experiencing renewed bloating that you may not have had for many years or ever, stomach discomfort. And then very interestingly, which we can certainly dive into, that estrobolome and other factors such as fiber can actually play a role in the way that estrogen and the hormones are being metabolized and processed by the body. So it's kind of like a two-way street, if you like.
And this might be completely not right here. So to clarify for me,
Yep.
But is there a way in which sort of the fiber or the different things you talk about today regarding gut health can help kind of stabilize the ups and downs of the estrogen in the perimenopause, or is it not about stabilizing the ups and downs? It's something else it's doing.
No, it's similar. What you're saying is right. We can only do so much to stabilize the ups and downs with food, diet, nutrition.
Right.
The main thing that would completely help with that would be medication. But there's a lot we can do through diet to try and minimize the impacts of that and help balance the hormones a little bit more. So there's things we can do.
Okay.
I'll maybe give an example around that. So if we fiber plays a really huge role in this. And so when we've got soluble and insoluble fiber. So insoluble fiber I see is kind of like the roughage. I said that word to my husband the other day. He's like, what's roughage? I had to actually Google it. But roughage is like, it's what keeps you regular, right? It keeps your bowels moving.
Yeah.
And then you've got, so that's important. And then we've also got soluble fiber, which is really important too. And that kind of gels together and helps with slowing the food, moving through your gastric tract, keeps you kind of It keeps you fuller. It helps things moving. It does a lot of things, but I'm just sort of generalizing. That soluble type of fiber, that can actually play a role in estrogen balance. So, for example, your body in perimenopause, because you can either have high or low estrogen depending on the day or time of the day or week.
Yes.
What it can do is, if you've got too much estrogen, the fiber can actually help to eliminate that and help you excrete that through the body. Or it can say, actually, Sarah hasn't got enough estrogen today. I can help recycle some of the estrogen in her gut and put it back into her bloodstream.
What an incredible thing the human body is. That's amazing.
Just making sure you've got 25 grams of fiber in your diet. And then the next question is always, well, how much do I need? How do I get it? What's soluble? What's insoluble?
Before we dive into that, because I want to make sure I understand what you just said, which is really exciting to sort of just, it's quite exciting to feel more empowered that you could do stuff about this
100%.
time.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but are you saying that, all right, so testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, they will all kind of gradually decline in that perimenopause period.
Yeah.
But the estrogen is going up and down.
Correct. Yep.
And would it be right to say that you can't make them stop declining in that time, but you can make sure that they're not too, is it out of balance?
Yeah, you can help stabilize them a little bit. So you've got less of those up and downs causing those symptoms that you're having.
Right.
Mood changes are an example. So if you're finding that one day you're sort of really annoyed at very simple things and the next day you're not, or you've got breast tenderness one day and the next day you don't, that can be a sign of some of the estrogen fluctuating.
Right.
And by doing things through nutrition, such as ensuring the right amounts of fiber and a variety of other things, you can try and minimize those ups and downs and help stabilize it a little bit. So you can actually, it does play a role. It's almost like I call it a cake effect, which we can talk about if we have time, but you layer everything that you're doing. So doing a little bit with nutrition, a little bit with lifestyle, maybe some supplements, and then if you need it, medication, all of those things together can help to minimize it. Just one thing I just do want to point out, if you are taking hormone replacement therapy, the pill, or they're also calling HRT or hormone replacement therapy, menopausal hormone therapy, MHT, so any of those things, that can increase your levels again because you can give your body some back. So that's the only way you would actually see significant changes. And I will just say for completeness, because I'm a real nerd, the testosterone will rise again later in life for women. That's the only one. Yeah, so it's later in life, it'll go up again. That's the only one.
Is that after menopause?
Yeah, after post-menopause, like in later 60s, it will go up for many women as well.
Okay.
Just naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so not only does the hormones during the perimenopause period start to potentially mess with your gut. Not everyone, but some people get gut symptoms they hadn't had.
Yeah.
But also the state of your gut and how much you are or aren't looking after it or whatever's going on in your gut.
Yeah.
It's going to then bounce back and impact the state of your hormones. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. So in a nutshell, it's all connected. It all comes back. There's a bidirectional, which I think is really interesting, right? That the two things can interplay with each other. Yeah. Yeah.
So it kind of maybe it could be hard to know sometimes where to start. Like, do I start with the hormones? Do I start with the gut? Like, I mean, is it?
Yeah, so that's why I've got this cake approach in the book. I mean, I love cake. That's why I've made it cake. But I tried to make it simple in that, and that's such a common question. Probably two of the most common questions I get every day of the week. What is creatine? Do I need it? And if I'm in perimenopause, where do I start? Like, when do I go to the doctor? What do I do? Which I find fascinating because as women, I find that my clients, I can talk about them as a group, they feel like they've got to wait until something happens before they go to the doctor. Where my thought is, if you're not feeling well, you should never hesitate to see a doctor. But where do you start is you layer that cake. So you think about what are the elements of my nutrition that I can focus on to try and help my body thrive. And it's not just all about hormones. Some things are related to hormones, like the changes in hormones can impact your bone and your muscle strength, and that's why we're talking about protein as well. So how can I get my diet in a good space? Then how can I do some movement, look after my mental health, maybe boost with some supplements if I need them based on advice? Doing all those things layers it up. So if you want to know where to start, right from that foundation, because if you jump straight to the supplements or straight to the medicine, but you haven't got the foundations of looking after your body and your gut health to start with, it's kind of like you're not really treating that root cause from the bottom. So I like to work from the bottom up.
Is that where sort of your background in pharmacy and nutrition can be so helpful? Just thinking about you knowing, okay, well, you could do this supplement over here, but wait, you're actually the foundations over here are not great with, I don't know, the whatever medication you
Yeah.
might be on or what you're eating.
Yeah,
So there's a
absolutely.
constant interplay.
Yeah, and it's probably a bit similar, and I have full respect for naturopaths as well in this
Right.
space,
Yeah.
qualified naturopaths as well, because they go to the root cause. So I think
Okay.
they go even deeper than what I would go in a consultation because they're thinking about more of that root cause piece. But I'm thinking more about like even if you're taking hormones and your gut health is not in a good place, your body still isn't going to be able to metabolize and process them as well as it could
Oh,
if your gut was functioning much better. So it's about getting everything right so your body can respond to the medication at the best that it possibly can.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, I suppose when you're thinking about where to start when it comes to the most, I mean, important or practical things to think about for your gut health when you are navigating hormonal issues like
Yeah.
perimenopause.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like I guess for my friend, she had endo, so that's sort of a different, unique
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
But for whatever she did, it was around her improving her gut health.
Yeah. Yeah.
So clearly, it could impact your hormonal experience at
Yeah.
any stage in life. Is that true?
It can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it comes down to remembering how important your gut is for every aspect of your body. But then, yes, thinking hormones is one of those as well as a woman. And I like to keep it really simple because it can get really complex and we're already bombarded with information. We just learnt all this information about perimenopause. We have to look after our gut. We have to eat enough protein. We have to lift weights. We have to take
It's a
this.
lot, isn't it?
So,
God,
yeah, what I like to do, if you're sort of thinking, oh, where do I start, is just think about the Mediterranean diet pattern. It's the
Right.
easiest way to do this because
Okay.
a lot of the gut health benefits come from, yes, the fiber that I was talking about, but rather than getting caught up in the little, vernaculars of which bits of food do I need to add to every plate,
Mm-hmm.
the Mediterranean diet has so many wonderful benefits because naturally it includes the fiber that you need, and I'll talk through what
Right.
it looks like. But it also does an amazing thing. There was some research done, I forget what year it was. It was it was pretty recent. It's referenced in the book that if you have 30 different coloured plant foods a week,
Mm.
that increases the diversity of your gut microbiome immensely.
Okay.
And that in itself is going to help with hormones and metabolism and all of those sorts of things.
Right.
And I'm mainly a vegetarian. I do eat some fish. So for me, it's overwhelming to think 30 different plant foods a week, but that includes nuts, that includes seeds, all your fruits, all your veggies. So
Oh.
making sure you've got more color on your plate, that's actually really good for your gut health.
It's funny you say that because I guess when I think fiber, not that long ago, I might have thought, I guess that's the carbs on my plate, or I guess that's like
Well,
the
yeah.
rice and I wouldn't have thought it's the color on my plate.
It's the color that fruit
necessarily.
and veggies. There's so much fiber in the skin and the seeds.
Okay.
Fresh salads, more fiber than when you cook it as well. So like your nuts and seeds have fiber in them. My poor husband, he won't mind me sharing this, but he's just gone through
Yeah.
a procedure to do with his gut, and we've had
Yeah.
to strip all the fiber out of his diet for a period of time.
Oh, because it might be too much.
Yeah, and it's just
Okay.
been crazy. Like every time we go, he says, "Oh, can I eat this?" I'm like, "Oh, we probably have to peel that carrot, or we have to cook it really well." So fiber's everywhere in most
Okay.
foods. So fruit, veggies are a really good source. But you're right, it's the carbs. But if you're choosing things like white bread, that's going to be a lot lower in fiber. But if you're
Mhm.
choosing whole grain breads, pumpernickel breads, breads that have got seeds and things in them, the fiber level is going to increase in
Right.
those two.
Right.
And you're getting it through pastas, the whole grain pastas and things like that as well. But then you're getting that special type of fiber, the one I spoke about before, the soluble, through things like chickpeas or legumes or things like that as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not just through breads or carbs, it's through a variety of foods, which is why the Mediterranean diet includes lots of fruit, lots of fresh herbs. It contains lots of vegetables, I should say, not a lot of fruit actually. Lots of
Oh,
veggies.
okay. Yeah.
Really, if they have some fruit, but they focus a lot on getting different types of vegetables and fresh herbs. They focus on extra virgin olive oil,
Oh,
which is
yes.
amazing for your gut health, inflammation, and everything. But it has to
Right.
be extra virgin. They focus on good quality sources of protein, minimizing the amount of red meat once or twice a week, but focusing on fish, omega-3 rich fish, maybe a little bit of chicken. And they have look, plants really form the most element of their diet. So,
And colour.
yeah, and look, they do have red wine in moderation. So,
Yes,
you know, they have a bit of fun at the same time.
Yes,
but
yeah.
because it can be so overwhelming, like what
gotta
do I
live
put
and
on
you
my
gotta-
plate? Yeah, and so if you just try and follow that pattern, I've got links on my Instagram page, or you can just Google what's the Mediterranean diet. It's a way of eating that makes it less stressful to think about what do I have to put on my plate. It gives you an idea of the types of foods you should crowd your diet out with and fill your plate with every day.
Okay, so it's I mean, it's nice to have that framework, I guess, if you were sort of lost and like, what on
Yes.
earth is
Yes.
fiber? How do I get it?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
thinking of 30 different plants
Yes,
and
yes.
you know, colored veggies and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's wow, okay. So
And look,
then
it tastes good as well.
Yeah,
and I think,
yeah.
and I think the key is it's less processed. And we use the word processed carefully because most food, like breads, are processed, right? But we're talking about ultra processed food, like
Right.
takeaway food and packaged chips and things. It doesn't have a lot of those, which can cause a little bit of inflammation in the body and impact the health of our gut. So it's about
Right.
balancing
Yes.
that. Of course, have those things in moderation, but crowd it out with those really good healthy foods.
Okay.
Mm.
Gee. And so, I mean, in terms of then thinking about, all right, these are some of the things you can do when you're looking after your gut and trying to help your gut stabilize the hormonal experience.
Yeah.
Is there anything, or maybe it's more sort of individual, maybe there's not a general sort of set of things here, but you can do to sort of look at your hormones or support them more directly in that time in terms of how your hormones are then impacting your gut? Or is it sort of like that you really should start with the gut?
Yeah, I
and
think
focus on that first.
Yeah, I think generally, I think you should start with nutrition broadly, and
Okay.
one of those is looking after your gut.
Right.
So I have these 8 or 9 principles of nutrition in the book that you should look at.
Okay.
Lots of them are good for the gut at the same time, but I actually have one section that's saying let's really make sure we're looking after the gut. So are we getting that fiber in our diet? Are we getting our fermented foods? Are we getting our pre and probiotics? Do we get what those
Yeah.
things are, or are we just thinking we pick up whatever yogurt's on the shelf and that gives me my probiotics? Well, that's not the case. So I focus on that quite significantly in the book.
Yeah.
But I think I talk about things like getting flax seeds, which have phytoestrogens in them, which can also help balance some of your hormones to a degree. Or
Okay. Yeah.
I talk about getting omega-3s, which are in fatty fish or like mackerel or salmon, which helps with protection of heart health and brain health. So, but again, all these things are also helpful for the gut. So
Okay.
it's a range of things, but there is definitely a core component about making sure your gut is functioning well, because without that, some of the other things can't actually work without that foundation. Yeah.
Okay, that's true. I mean, what was your experience like? You know, obviously you've, I imagine, gone through, as you mentioned, periods of suffering
Yes,
to
yeah.
get to the point of learning about this stuff, the
Yeah.
way that you understand it. You know, was that a battle you faced in terms of not having the foundations, needing to build that?
Oh, yeah.
Was-
And mine wasn't strictly related to hormones, if you like, but it was I actually had was put on a low FODMAP diet. I couldn't eat anything. Like I would get so sick all the time.
Oh,
but
because
I
you couldn't
kn-
even drink the water sometimes.
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah, that was
Oh,
a bad point. But there was
yeah.
onion and garlic were setting me off. So
Okay.
and like I probably knew that, but I liked the taste of
Oh, no. And it's in a lot of stuff. It's actually hard to avoid onion and
It
garlic.
is, yeah. So when I got back to Australia, I met with a dietitian and I got put on a low FODMAP diet. But then I was kind of afraid to get off that because I thought
Of
yeah.
course, yeah.
And actually, interestingly, in my case, I then became a vegetarian,
Mm-hmm.
and probably 6 months after that, I thought I'm going to try and eat onion and garlic again, and I had absolutely no issues. So then,
that's
obviously I had to
fascinating.
look into that, and I was obviously that increase in plant foods was changing the diversity of my gut microbiome.
Wow.
So it obviously was an issue with that more so than, the FODMAP diet's there to help you eliminate things that are causing issues, but you're not supposed to eliminate all those foods like onion, garlic, and all the irritant foods forever. You are supposed to bring them back in. I never did that because I was really fearful of becoming sick,
I
which
bet
wasn't.
that's a lot of people probably when they're on it.
Which I found that really interesting for me. I haven't got a scientific study to back it up, but I can
No.
now eat all those foods with no problems. So that's really interesting.
Oh, that is fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's funny. It's a bit like me with, and this again just a personal experience. I don't have any science. I don't know why it happened. But
Yeah.
at the start of my healing, which I only started about a year ago intensively, like I had to get off all gluten and wheat and stuff.
Yep.
And I would notice that it would like bloat or hurt me quite quickly if I ate it. But now, as it's sort of, I'm getting more and more stable with it, I could eat like a slice or two and I wouldn't feel anything. So it's funny how like things must just
your body starts to
develops.
adapt, and it depends on, like, obviously if you have a celiac disease, you have to be really careful because you don't want to cause. Because that's another thing, you might not feel sick, but it might be impacting your body internally, like causing inflammation, which is one thing. But your body will change over time. And if you start to nourish your gut health, you'll notice that you'll get less bloating, you'll have better digestion.
It's like it becomes more resilient or something.
It does.
Like tougher or more like, I'm not sure what the right word is. But
If you're doing the right things and implementing them, you should feel better with your gut health. So if you're not, you might need to get advice about what other ways you can do that. I have a very food first approach in that you can get wonderful prebiotics, fiber through food, but there might be a case where you just can't get what you need in your diet. So you may need to speak to a professional about a probiotic that you may like to take. But again, not just grabbing any probiotic, it's a specific strain for a specific outcome. So back to our favorite friend, hormones. There are specific strains of probiotics that have been shown to actually help with some of the hormonal piece. And with some of that weight management piece, specifically in the perimenopause, menopause transition. So it's very specific. So you really need to be sure you're taking the right things for the right outcome.
Oh, okay. Because what you mentioned that some of the symptoms people go through often in perimenopause are like the bloating or like sometimes weight gain, that sort of thing. What's that about? Could you help me understand a bit more? Like, how does that happen? Is it because like are the hormones not sort of filtering out as they should or moving around as they should?
It's a good question. So the gut health stuff is mainly because of that estrobolome piece. So basically that change in your estrobolome and the way your gut function and the change in estrogen specifically, and a little bit the other hormones, can cause sluggish digestion. So many women get concerned about this because all of a sudden you're fit and healthy, you've got your body weight that you're used to, then all of a sudden you start to gain weight, and mainly around the midline.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's so frustrating if your pants don't fit and you're really not doing anything differently. You're still working out, you're eating the way you were always eating. That's because of the estrogen. So as estrogen really dictates the body fat distribution. So throughout our earlier lives where we were often fertile and when going to bear children, for many people, I haven't, but that's the kind of the course. The body sort of distributes things more around the legs, the thighs, and sort of distributes things evenly, your breasts as well. But then as estrogen declines, it then says to your body, well, now distribute the fat more centrally. It's just the way that it all works. So that actually is causing that body fat distribution. So by doing some of the things like looking after your gut health and all the other dietary factors or lifestyle elements we talked about, and reducing that kind of fluctuation of the hormones, you can actually try and redistribute that body weight.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So it could become less kind of, stuck in one area.
It can start to just redistribute, or you can lose weight. And one other key thing that's also happening, which does impact the gut too, is as we're all aging, we're all getting more and more inflamed. They call it inflammaging. I don't know if you've heard.
Yes, I've heard of inflammaging. This would be fascinating to talk about.
So that's even more accelerated in perimenopause and menopause because of all these changes. So a lot of that inflammation is also impacting the way our body stores fluid and fat and operates. And what tends to happen, bit off course, but it's interesting. I was talking about it last night with somebody. Women then think, well, all I need to do now is go to the gym and do more cardio or run a marathon or do whatever cardio I can, because I'm taught in the 90s that cardio is the only thing that's going to get rid of that fat. And what happens is you stress your body out more and cause more inflammation if you do too much of that high intensity stuff. So they trying to lose weight, they're doing more exercise, they're probably eating less, but they're still gaining weight in the midline.
Oh, that's
because
awful,
all those
trying so hard, and it must be so upsetting.
It is. So it's about taking a step back, balancing that out. Speaking to an exercise physiologist with expertise in this area, which you can find some. And then working out how you can actually do some strength training, a bit of cardio, support that inflammation, and then improve your diet and lifestyle to try and help with everything. And it sounds super complex. That's why I've got the book, because it just says, the way I approach the book is choose a couple of things that are really impacting your quality of life and build a plan around that by adding in a couple of small daily habits that you can stick to then build on those over time, because we all know you can't change your health or your life behavior overnight.
No, I wish.
Yeah, and if you try to, it doesn't work. So just pick a couple of things every day or every week that you want to stick to. Once they become a habit, do more, and then you'll start to get better as time goes on.
Okay. I mean, and just thinking about the inflammation, like that's such a painful, like sort of series of events. Like if you're going through perimenopause and then you're, let's say, due to all the hormonal changes, there's some weight gain, and then you're stressed about that, and you're going to the gym, but you don't realize you're stressing potentially your body more. So then it sort of further can't distribute. Sorry, that's not the right word, is it? It further can't maybe balance the hormones.
You're totally right. But then you got, you know very well about cortisol, and you're stressed, and your body's not managing it. Actually, the cortisol levels are rising naturally. Your melatonin levels are reducing, so you're also not able to sleep. So, as I said before, it's not everyone that experiences all of these things.
Yeah.
But I think what it's nice to realize is inside your body is going through a lot.
Clearly.
And so it can be really frustrating, and you think this is the worst. But I think sometimes it helps to respect and think, gosh, my body's going through a lot. And I always say for every symptom, there's a solution. So if it's the weight gain for you, well, then you can focus on tactics that are evidence-based to help with that. If it's the sleep, if it's the gut, if it's itchy skin, joint pain, whatever it is, there are things that can help that. And then those things will help a lot of other areas too. So always don't suffer in silence and think there's no way through. There always is something or someone that can help you.
A lot of women probably do, I would think, oh, this is just the hand I'm dealt. This is perimenopause, or this is menopause. I don't have a choice.
My only options are hormones. I don't want to take hormones. Or it's perimenopause. Oh, it's not that bad yet, so I'll go to the doctor when it gets worse. Or a lot of us just tend to put up with stuff. Whereas actually, if you start working on treating things earlier, the outcomes later on are better. For example, if you did speak to your doctor and the doctor thought you were a candidate for hormone therapy, starting it in perimenopause is much more effective and better for your quality of life as you transition to menopause rather than waiting. So you really should speak to a health professional about this earlier rather than later. And there's some tips in the book, but also just give some now that on the Australasian Menopause Society, there's a list of practitioners, all types of practitioners, GPs, allied health, that have got an expertise in perimenopause or menopause. So you can find one.
That's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a really good spot to start.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might put the link for that in.
Yeah, it's really fantastic because it doesn't matter where you live. It'll tell you in your area, but then if there's no one in your area, they'll give you online telehealth options as well of people, because you want people that are at the cutting edge of the research. Yeah.
Because I feel like, unfortunately, like my experience, unfortunately, with gut health and some doctors, they just don't know. They don't know about
because anything
the latest stuff.
Yeah, and they've got 15 minutes with you, and they are,
so quick.
GPs are across so many areas of the body. We can't expect them to be absolute specialists in each one.
Point.
Yeah, so then, there'll be GPs with a special interest in gut health that you can go and speak to. But then in this case, I don't know how you'd find them. So maybe the Gut Health Foundation, but definitely with this menopause, the Australasian Menopause Society have done a wonderful job of that, in that if you can prove that you've got additional credentials, they'll list you as an expert for people to come and see.
That's fantastic. I mean, we're sort of, edging towards the end of our episode together, but I wanted to sort of, before we do, finish, if there were sort of a number of things, like, I don't know, your top 3 or something, it's probably hard to pick 3, that's why you read a book, your sort of top 3 things for people to, just to know when it comes to, your gut health and hormonal health. It might be things that you would particularly say do in perimenopause, but even just sort of like at any age, what you'd want people to understand about the gut and our hormones.
Yep.
A bit of a broad question there.
Okay.
But,
I'll try and keep it to 3.
You can add more. We got time.
No, all good. So the first is just being really cognizant that your gut health plays a role in lots of areas of your body. So don't just think about it as, you're constipated or you've got diarrhea or it's just your stomach. It's actually interplaying with all the areas of your health, and it's really the foundation of health, I believe, strongly starts in the gut. So
Because you did mention inflammaging, which I think we didn't even explain what that is.
It's just,
but is that sort of, I mean, that's part of it a bit too, isn't it?
in the background, you've got inflammation happening in the body as you age, accelerated in perimenopause. But again, that inflammation is going to impact the way the gut works as well. So, and the gut can help to maybe reduce some of that inflammation in the body if it's actually functioning well to help with other areas of health. So just recognizing that the gut's really important. The second would be start thinking about what you can do every day, whether you're in this phase of life or not, to improve your gut health. You know, look at the Mediterranean diet, think what other plant foods can I put in? Like, not saying everyone needs to become vegetarian, certainly not saying that. But if you're at the grocery store or the greengrocer and you're thinking, what am I going to buy this week? Throw another coloured veggie in that you haven't had. Put that yellow capsicum in. Buy those hemp seeds. Buy something different.
Experiment in a way,
Your
isn't
gut
it?
loves something different. You know, if you're giving it the same thing all the time and eating the same 3 meals every day, it hasn't got the diversity to generate some of those new bacteria
I'm
that
guilty
they
of
need.
that.
Yeah, we all get into these, but can you just throw in a mandarin or that you wouldn't have normally had or something else to help improve that? And each week think of different colours and things you can, more colour on your plate, the better, because some of those things also have natural anti-inflammatory antioxidants in them too, like blueberries with flavonoids. So colour means good.
And the less inflamed you know, the more you eat the food that helps with inflammation.
It's all going to help with that as well. So
Okay.
I should say natural colours are good. Don't go buy coloured candy bars. And maybe one we haven't touched on that I really just want to make sure I share, because I found it fascinating myself. I've got a really amazing friend in this space, a dietitian who's amazing with all of this stuff. And she's been a wealth of knowledge in helping me understand this too. When you go to the supermarket or wherever you shop and you want to buy something that contains probiotics, if it's a yogurt or a kefir or a fermented food, just be aware that you're not just getting probiotics because you're buying a yogurt. Not all yogurts have active live strains of probiotics. So you need to make sure you're getting a yogurt or a kefir that's had live strains in it or added back in or in there somehow. The label says they're active live strains. And they're actually telling you what the serve is on the nutrition panel of how much you're getting per dose.
Interesting. I did not know this.
Yeah, because then you're getting active probiotics into the food you're eating, versus if you're just getting any yogurt, you're not necessarily getting those live strains. And the probiotics are doing a really good thing for your gut. Then you've got to feed those probiotics with prebiotics, which are in some of those foods that we spoke about even before, like the chickpeas, like those kind of foods like that. And again, if you're eating a Mediterranean diet, you're getting the prebiotics at the same time. It's that kind of, you know, it's all feeding each other. And then if you're eating like sauerkraut and things like that, that's great. They're fermented foods. They're still going to help with your gut diversity, but don't assume they've got probiotics in them. Again, they need the strains added back in. But they're still going to help with your gut health, right?
But you'd have to be a bit careful about which
the
sauerkrauts and kimchi.
Yeah, you can eat any you want, but if you want one that's got probiotics, look for one that's had added back in. Because then you're definitely getting it.
Take a careful look.
And you will. They're actually helpful for your gut health. I'm not saying you don't have normal yogurt, because again, that's got calcium and other good things in there. But if you really want to focus on gut health, you want active strains of probiotics. And your gut thrives with a variety of different types of foods, and these probiotics and fermented foods are some of the things that really nourish that bacterial balance in the gut.
Oh, that's fascinating. That's good to know, because I'll check that out now when I'm in the supermarket.
It can be confusing, that distinction.
Yes, it is very. The whole supermarket's actually confusing, to be honest. Everything says it's got stuff it doesn't necessarily have. So
I can't go into supermarkets, physical ones, too often, because I spend 3 hours in there. Like, I'm reading every label.
Exactly. Oh my God.
My husband's like, can we move on? I'm like, I'm just comparing, so I just try and stick to the brands I know.
Well, I mean, I'd love to chat more, actually. But we've got to finish together today, because I've only got the studio for this amount of time.
Oh, good.
But I really appreciate you coming on. It's been personally quite fascinating to begin to really wrap my head around the hormonal and gut relationship. And I'm quite excited to, like, even just take, like you say, you have a very gentle, take it easy, don't rush, gradual change kind of approach to this. And take that view in my mind as I'm looking at things in the supermarket, as I'm trying to nourish my body, give that a bit more thought with the hormones in mind, that's not just impacting my gut.
Definitely. And it shouldn't be a stressful thing. So try and just make small choices that make a difference each day. And if you want specific advice, speak to a health professional, of
Or
course.
read your book.
Yeah, you can read the book.
Exactly.
And I've got lots of stuff on my social media page too that just shares evidence-based information. So see what you could do and don't feel overwhelmed. Make sure you get a team of people around you to support you through this really, which can be challenging phase of life for some women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's nice to sort of be able to have permission, isn't it? And be encouraged to get the team,
Get
get the
support.
people.
Yeah. There's plenty of
need.
experts and there wasn't as many of us 5-6 years ago. So
Yeah, not
we're
that long
really-
ago. It was
Really
like,
lucky now to have people that have really invested time in helping women get through this in a less stressful way.
oh, fantastic. Well, thanks again. Sarah.
Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Gut Girl podcast. Thanks for listening. See you next time as we learn more real-world strategies for gut health, one bite at a time. If you want to keep learning more outside the podcast episode, head to the Gut Girl podcast resources page, where you can discover more about your gut and all that it connects to. Everything you've heard today is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and is not a substitute for professional medical or psychological care. While I am a registered psychologist, this podcast is not providing psychological services. Always seek medical advice from your qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, medications, or treatment plan. I do not necessarily endorse all the views and statements of podcast guests, and myself and the guests are not aware of your individual circumstances. Any advice given is general in nature.